Hello, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Shady. So nice to meet you. I love that song. Right, well, I told everyone that I'd make a new show. This show is called Relearning How to Live. So, if someone's listening to this and you're not already aware, I started up a podcast show, last month called Relearning How to Speak, where I cure my speech anxiety, social anxiety, and specifically my stuttering problem, which I've had, which has been a trauma response. It's an environmental response which I've had from my childhood. It's a coping mechanism, along with other speech anxiety, social anxiety, things. But yeah, but in relation to speaking, public speaking, things of that nature, um, because I've had that show, and obviously part of that learning process is just speaking. I've had these things called filler episodes where I've just been kind of talking about my life or just other sort of stuff. And I feel like that would be better put in a different show called Relearning How to Live, where I'm going in and talking and, doing things that will benefit my life in general, that is outside of public speaking and speech anxiety. I'll still have filler episodes in the Relearning How to Speak show, but they would be more linked to speaking. So it would possibly be me, for example, doing an episode where I'm just reading a random book out loud. So I'm practicing talking more. That would be what I would constitute as a filler episode in that show. But this show, I really, really, really wanted to create to really just get myself back and still linked into social anxiety, but linked into more integrating myself with life and living. So I don't have a plan, I don't have an agenda for this, but I do have a notebook on me, and I've recently turned 28 years old, feeling like a bit of a loser, and I will just kind of run through. And my idea is I could possibly take a similar approach to what I did with the early learning how to speak episodes, where I just did a bit of a brain dump of my life and everything, and then make a bit of a roadmap, a bit of a timeline with what I want and where I want to be, let's say this time next year, and then the steps that I need to take. I feel like I'm a very logical person, so I feel like I'm really in my head a lot. So in my head, I sort of know what I need to do, but it's just getting it out of my head, putting it maybe on paper, or I have a notepad application opened on my laptop so I can write notes and then I can kind of follow these steps. That's what I've been doing for the Relearning How to Speak series, where I had an awareness, a few episodes based around awareness about, why I have not only social anxiety but speech anxiety and how I developed a stutter. And I could possibly do that here, making an awareness about social anxiety. But to be honest, I think I kind of covered that. I think that was a two in one when I was doing the whole awareness. Um, but it would be cool to just kind of maybe use this episode just to kind of outline my life and uh, what has got me to the point where I'm at today. And then using ChatGPT, I think that's a very valuable tool. It's a very useful tool to then help me make a bit of a roadmap to how I integrate. But to be honest, I kind of know already what I need to do. It's just the execution, and it's the motivation, and it's the consistency, it's the dedication to actually following through and actually staying consistent with it. being more organized, and having a routine. I feel like that's something I'm missing at the moment. One thing I'm very conscious of is obviously I still live with my mum, and she's very nosy. I've outlined her in the awareness episode of Learning How to Speak. My mum is ultimately the cause of all of my problems and all of my issues. So I'm very hyper aware that she is in the house with me, and I've just overheard her go next door. She's the type of person who would eavesdrop, put her ear by the door, listening to me. So I'm just going to pause for the moment because I'm aware that she's probably doing that right now, and then I'll return back to this episode shortly. 1 second. Okay, thank God that bee is gone. I do love my mother. I swear. I do love my mother, but shit, it is hard being with her sometimes. I've outlined this in the previous show. She likely has some form of autism. Unfortunately, I can't move out. I'm not mentally ready for that, not financially ready for that either. But I would love to one day. And I feel like that will help a lot of things, but at the moment, I have to help myself where I'm at. I am 28 years old and I am trying to get my life together from Uh, at the moment, I would classify myself as, someone who has a lot of potential, but I am not making the use out of it. Some would say loser. I would say someone who's got a lot of potential, but is not capitalizing on that potential because I have a lot of mental limitations that I have put on myself, all linked to my social anxiety, which is linked to my speech anxiety, which is linked to my childhood trauma, which is all linked to my mother. So on the either the eve of my 28th birthday or a few hours leading up to my 28th or on my actual 28th, I can't exactly remember, but I have this little notebook here and I wrote down here goals, well, just 2026 / 28 years old, what I want to do. And it's 5 things. And I'm going to write it down on the notepad as well. Or sorry, I'm going to type it out on the notepad as well. Now, this isn't in an order at the moment, but I will be ordering them. Actually, I'm gonna just read them how I've wrote them in the notebook. They're not in order, but I will definitely order them afterwards. So first thing is, I said a girlfriend / a friend. I would want in the new year during my 28th, I've put here regular socializing. I've said here, even at a start, just doing something minimum once a month. At the moment, I'm not socializing at all. And I will go into the history of that later on in this episode. So that was what I put down first, but again, I was just freeballing stuff. That's not going to be first on my ultimate list. But number 2 is to be more mature. Now, this is a big one. Be more mature. So, for example, and I've just put in some examples here: less curse words, less phone time, less negativity. Negativity. I've spelled that completely wrong. Let me just do autocorrect on that. Less negativity. Manage. Now, this is important. Manage what I'm saying, thinking, doing, consuming, and then more reading, control of behavior, more positive, exercise, and then I've put here like no fap porn free. That is going to be a big one. And then, as a side note on that, I've put here, and yes, I'll write this in here. So, no. So, since I'm still in my 20s, I do want to still engage with fun slash wild activities here and there. For example, drinking and all of that, even though I'm definitely trying to slow that down. Activities, let's slow that down. Activities. Okay, cool. That's a big one, and that's something that I even want to add to even now. I'm gonna say less phone time and idle time, if I'm being honest. Okay, that is a big one, and that's something that I've already failed in, right? I say failed. I've already had a hard time following that, so that's something that I definitely need to work on. Number three, I put in here is so important. Grounding, grounding. To get out of my head. More outside time, etc. What's in brackets there? Yeah, more outside time. That's fine. Number four, I've put cure social and speech anxiety. Now, that will be number one. That is my main focus for this year. I do truly believe that I can cure the social and speech anxiety. I believe it's going to be a lot of work, but I do believe it is something that is very curable. I have the roadmap. I know what I need to do. I need to engage more. I need to speak more. I need to interact with people more. And that's something that I've not really been doing. So, and I have some case studies for that as well, which I will go into later. And number five, it's should be a fairly simple one here, but hobbies. You know, so start hobbies. I've put here reading, for example, reading, but some creative stuff, exercise as well. I'm aware that reading and exercise I've kind of already noted with the mature thing, but the thing with this, and that's all of the notes that I've put down in that notebook there, so I can close that and put down, and I can leave that on the side. All of these are linked. All of these are interconnected. So obviously there will be a lot of crossover. I'm just putting in some spaces in between each point, and I'm going to reorder them right now. So cure social and speech anxiety. That is number one for me. That is very much the number one thing. Number two, I'm going to say grounding because I do believe that is very much linked to social and speech anxiety. Then being more mature, that's going to be number three. Girlfriend and friends, that's going to be number four. And then number five will be start hobbies. I'm going to reorder them now. Okay, just doing that. Cool. Number one, social and speech anxiety. Number two, grounding, getting out of my head, having more time outside. For example, I've not left the house in days, right? Being more mature, saying less curse words, for example, having less phone time, less idle time, less brain rot time, less doom scrolling time. Okay. Um, Less negativity, managing what I'm saying, thinking, doing, consuming, more reading, especially out loud, but definitely more reading. I do believe that's a positive form of entertainment. Controlling of my behavior, um, which is very difficult. Being more positive, engaging in more forms of physical exercise, and engaging in no fap and porn free. And the note is, yes, since I am still in my 20s, I do want to have fun, and I do still want to engage in a little bit of, wild fun activities just because I am still in my 20s. And yeah, I do still want to make use of this time. Right? Something that I want to note about manage what I'm saying, thinking, doing, consuming. I'm even going to put into brackets like music, for example. I listen to a lot of underground rap, a lot of music that I would, if I take a step back, is my mum listening to me? Oh God, she is. Let me pause this. This is what I'm trying to say. It's very hard to live here. She's literally outside my room and she's listening in on me, and this is not me being paranoid. I can hear her. Yeah, interesting. I think she's just gone now. Okay. Um. Yeah, music. I've listened to a lot of underground rap, a lot of Playboy Carti, Lil Uzi, Travis, Ye, Ken Carlson, Destroy Lonely, Lil Peep. A lot of that. A lot of the lyrical content is so negative, dealing with self-hatred and violence and a lot of swear words, and that wild, reckless vibe, is what I really gravitate to. And that's what I like. And yes, that is music that I do like, but I do believe it's kind of the soundtrack to reckless behavior, and I do believe the frequency is impacting my behavior. So obviously, I still love those artists and I still love that music, but I definitely want to step a bit away from you know, that sort of music, even though I do still like it. Now, I used to go to a lot of concerts back in the day, even went to the festival too. Um, but I've seen most of those musicians live now. There's only one artist I would love to see live, and that is Playboy Carti. If he ever does come to London, I will most definitely be going. Obviously, I'm still in my 20s. I still want to engage with certain things I do find fun, but just in a more controlled manner, in a more managed manner. For example, I've spent countless weekends, countless hours, days, weeks, months, years just in my room listening to music really, really loud. But ultimately, that has no real um, benefit on my life, right? And that is just only further causing me to be more isolated. So, yeah, stuff like that. And I do definitely make note of that in this episode here. Girlfriend did a friend, so I was dating someone for a little bit last year. I've been on a few dates since, not really well, but that is very much linked with social anxiety. I've had definitely engaged with lots of dates. I've definitely engaged with women since I was say 19 onwards. You know, Technically, yes, I've had maybe a handful of girlfriends, but never really. I mean, it's at the point where I don't even think I should really be classifying them as girlfriends. Just more so girls that I have had interactions with for a a bit of time. Uh, yeah, yeah, just really want to engage with a woman on that level, and that's definitely linked to the nofap and porn free, where I am very much attracted to women. I'm not attracted to guys at all. But I feel like my mind is so desensitized to porn um, that it's just hard to engage with, have affection for anyone, and I feel like that's a big part of being isolated for so long, and even you know watching porn for so long. So definitely those two are very, very closely linked. But even just friends, just trying to meet up with someone minimum of once a month. Obviously, this is reliant on someone else who wants to engage with me, so that might be a little difficult to do. This year, I've definitely tried to engage with people and connect with people on BFF. It's a Bumble branch off of a Bumble app, which is specific for making friends, but ultimately I'm just talking to anyone and everyone there. But even if we don't have a connection, so yeah, that kind of sucks. Yeah, yeah. So I definitely want to try to be more social, try to put myself out there a little bit. I've been saying for years I really wanted to go to stuff like meetup groups on the meetup app. I've been saying that for ages. I really wanted to do that for a very long time, but I think it's at the point now where I just need to start doing stuff like that. And even if I'm doing stuff like that on my own, which links into um, grounding myself, actually, going out more, even if I'm socializing, even if I'm just going out on my own, right? Just doing stuff like that, really. But I need to be careful with it. For example, um, I discussed this story in my previous episode of my other show where I explained how I, randomly added this girl on Instagram. She added me back. We've been talking. She wants me to go to this like e-girl rave with her. Definitely not my sort of music. Ultimately, I wasn't her sort of person, so she just kind of ghosted me, and then I was left with this ticket to this e-girl cringe culture rave, and it's like, well, this isn't my sort of music at all, so I just didn't go. So I've wasted money doing that. So socializing, and I think maybe being a little bit more selective with who I'm trying to engage with, because ultimately, at a certain point, if I'm engaging with people who I'm not really connecting with, then I just know that it won't be going anywhere. On BFF, there's a hell of a lot of gay people that are really trying to just try their luck with straight guys, and it's absolutely sickening, to be honest. And I have messaged a few of them, and I've added a few on my Instagram, trying to be friendly with them, with just pure platonic friend vibes. But ultimately, in the back of my mind, I know they're just trying their luck, and it's just like, why am I engaging with these people? Because I'm lonely, right? And I need to be really specific with who I am connecting with. I've got nothing wrong with gay people. I swear to God, I don't. But in all honesty, I don't want to connect with gay people if they're just trying to try their luck with me. I'm not attracted to guys at all. I'm only attracted to women. But because of my isolation, because of my social anxiety, and because of my porn addiction and my masturbation addiction, which I've had, since I was like 9 years old. It's very hard for me to feel anything in a romantic or an emotional sense anymore. So that's linked into the grounding. That's linked into the social anxiety. That's linked into being more mature, not just watching porn and just wanking myself off, 6, 7 times a day. And then that links into actually going out more, trying to socialize, actually trying to have a girlfriend, trying to have friends. I've had a I've had dating apps for years, and ultimately nothing's really happened. But I've not really taken it that seriously. So part of this show is most definitely updating my dating profiles, definitely updating my social media profiles, um, with updated bios and photos to try and connect with like-minded people. If I'm being very honest with you. Cool. And then the fifth one here is starting hobbies. I used to make music a lot, and I'll go into that a little bit more during this episode. But I used to do a lot of music production. I used to make music. I on the side very casually still make music. Made an album last year, made an album this year, and my goal is to make an album next year as well. And that will be like a trilogy sort of album. and then after that, my plan is to do maybe like two EPs, and then after that, just kind of leave it, to be honest. So that is that. So that's kind of what I'd want to do. Well, that's what I used to do, hobbies, and yes, I do engage with music at a very low form nowadays, just to kind of express myself a little bit. But I definitely want to do more like real kind of hobbies, especially hobbies where I can connect with people in the real world. I used to do photography. I ended up selling my camera, stuff like that. But I definitely want to engage in some sort of hobbies. I'm currently, and I'll put this in brackets as well, less gaming. That's all in uppercase. Less gaming, cool. Less gaming. Um, yeah, I mean, I've always been addicted. I have a very addictive personality. So since I was a kid, I've been very much addicted to porn and video games. Starting all the way with my Game Boy Advance, my Nintendo DS Lite, then my PlayStation 2, then my Xbox 360, then my gaming PC, then my Nintendo Switch, right? And it's very much a problem. Um, so I'm trying to control that, and I'm trying to limit that, right, to maybe once a week tops, because ultimately I am in my 20s and I do want to engage with things that I find fun and enjoyable, but ultimately, am I finding gaming fun and enjoyable, or am I just distracting myself? Am I just using it to procrastinate? Am I just using it because I am lazy? And that is something which I want to actually put into being more mature. I want to be less lazy. I want to make a real routine. For example, I want to go outside more, right? I want to spend, I'm writing this down, spend less time in my room, right? Even if I'm just walking, right? I just really want, and obviously, all of these five are very, very, very much linked. So there's so much crossover there, but yeah, spending less time in my room, which I guess is counterintuitive because obviously I want to engage with this show, which is ultimately helping me to push forward, right? And to push myself out. But, there's a balance, right? And there's a ratio that is needed. Yeah, so starting hobbies, I've said reading. I think reading could be cool. I know reading is very much a solo activity, but you can engage with stuff like book clubs and stuff like that. Creative stuff. I used to do photography, don't have my camera anymore, which kind of sucks really bad. But that is that. Um, what else? Creative. I've tried to do a painting by numbers thing, but again, it's just hard staying consistent, hard not being lazy. I'm definitely addicted to being lazy. Um, yeah, stuff like that, exercising, stuff like that. Um, I do have a treadmill at home, but just trying to get a hobby, of some form, and I do think that's why my last relationship ultimately ended because I had no hobbies. Like I had no hobbies, and I was with someone who had a lot of hobbies, so it was very abundant that I was very much bland and very boring for her. So I do believe once you have hobbies, you are just vaguely more interesting. I just don't really know if I like anything. I do things like I love listening to music and I love going to certain concerts and stuff like that, but yeah, and I love traveling, but I don't know if traveling is a hobby or if it's just something I'm doing again just to kind of kill time and just to kind of distract myself from the real world. So yeah, that is definitely something. So I've saved that notepad down, and something I definitely want to um, verbalize here and express verbally is definitely my history with why I'm sort of doing this. So it definitely links into the awareness episode that I did with my previous show. So if someone is watching this, do listen to that, um, which is in its simplest form. Um, I was a very isolated child. I grew up with an autistic mother who very much has stifled my growth as an adult. And then I ended up being very isolated, very lonely throughout school because I never really learned how to socialize because I kind of was told not to from my mother. She's kind of ruined my life, so I'm just trying to piece my life back together. And yeah, so I had no friends. I didn't know how to make friends all throughout secondary school and system college. I didn't go to university because um, the academic system definitely was not for me, and I found it very hard to engage socially. So there was just no point. I ended up going and doing an apprenticeship. Ultimately, didn't connect with anyone there, even though everyone was around my age. I just didn't connect with anyone. And then, through having several jobs, struggling to connect with people. My current job, I have connected with a handful of people actually, but I will get into that later. I'm just trying to grow. I'm just trying to go chronologically. Um, and yeah, then it was lockdown. I was so lonely. I had online friends just through Skype groups for social anxiety, which I still talk to two of them very casually here and there, not consistently, because ultimately it's very hard to maintain online friends, especially with different time zones, especially now, with people who have relationships and work and all of that sort of stuff, right? It's definitely difficult to maintain and it's very difficult to keep up. Um, yeah. So yeah, and then it was one of my online friends at that time, which unfortunately I'm no longer in contact with. We both had Snapchat, and we both just added like every girl from Tinder who we had on our Snapchat into a group, and we just started sending memes to them. One of the girls actually ended up being one of my neighbors, who I didn't know at the time was my neighbor. I don't think I spoke to her in maybe a year, but she was just on my Snapchat. Just so happened that she saw the group, thought it was really funny, added her friends, and then I became friends with her friends because they was all local, and then ultimately we were just speaking with each other and everything. And yeah, then hanging out in person, and that was probably the most sociable few years of my life, and I think that was probably the happiest I've been in a very long while. I was very cringe, I was very wild, I was very reckless, I was saying things, I was very edgy, I was a borderline incel, engaging in the outside world for the first time. And, I definitely pissed off a lot of people. I definitely was very hype. I think my, I think I do believe that I developed a behavior personality disorder, BPD. Um, yeah, I think I was absolutely wild, menace, reckless. Started drinking, started smoking. Yeah, started doing wild things. But ultimately, I had a good time with these people. And I feel like I was very sociable, and I feel like I could engage with people on a social level. And I do feel like actually that was probably the only time in my life where I felt comfortable speaking to people, if I am being honest, and just like talking, not only within the workplace, but just yeah, just like with people, yeah, just speaking. I had a good time, and ultimately there were very bad times as well because I was very much insufferable, and I was very difficult to be around. Ultimately, these people, and I kind of realized that like halfway through that these people don't really like me. These people just use me for an entertainment factor. They get me very drunk. They get me very hyper for their own entertainment. Watch me do very edgy, wild, reckless shit. Um, to ultimately piss people off just for their own entertainment because they're bored. And ultimately, that friend group broke up. It split down because two of the guys were dating two of the girls in the group, and ultimately the group split up. So the girls went on their own, and then the guys went on their own. And obviously, I had no friends, so I tried to maintain both friend groups. Ultimately, that pissed off both friend groups, and then no one really liked me anymore. And then ultimately, everyone just went back to their actual friend groups, right? So ultimately to their school friends. And I do not hear from these people anymore. It was my birthday a few days ago. None of these people wished me happy birthday. I made a promise to myself at the start of this year that this year I would message these people just off of my own back, wish them happy birthday when it's their birthdays, and then if I get a very dry response, or if I get no response back from them, I'm going to just say, well, look, the ball's in their court if they want to continue a friendship, if they want to have that bridge. You know what I'm saying? Then it's on them. Ultimately, I sort of know that these people did not like me at all anyway, so I got nothing but dry responses, and I got nothing but, well, either being left on read or just messages not being opened throughout the whole year. I'm not dumb. I don't want to embarrass myself any further. These people do not want to keep up a friendship with me. I do believe I am largely to blame because I was very immature back then, and I do take accountability for that. I was very immature. I was very insufferable, and I found it very hard to control my behavior and my personality, which led me to doing very annoying things, very cringy things, very embarrassing things for other people, and I was very difficult to be around. I was swearing a lot, being very edgy, using a lot of slurs, just trying to get a rise out of people, really. Yeah, just being insufferable. Absolutely a insufferable mess. And I'm very embarrassed to think back to that, but ultimately, now I'm thinking back, those aren't real friends because real friends would make you stop doing that, and real friends won't push you to engage in that sort of behavior for their own entertainment. It's almost like, people kind of push, or like people kind of poke the monkey in the cage constantly every single day, right, for their own entertainment to make the monkey do something. And then when the monkey, then, does something and, the monkey rips the finger off of the child, then all of a sudden the monkey's the problem when, the whole monkey's life has been poked and prod and kind of told that the monkey needs to be entertaining for people to get a reaction out of people. Yeah, yeah. So that is ultimately it. So, especially today, I felt very sad. I felt very sad thinking about, my life maybe, 4 or 5 years ago, being very social out, most weekends with these people. And I sort of missed that, fun, environment and those fun times. But ultimately now I'm thinking with a logical brain, these people never liked me. They only just used me for their own entertainment. They didn't care for me because now it's, 4 or 5 years later and they don't even message me anymore. Ultimately, they just leave me on red. They are ignoring me. Um, there is blame on both sides. There is 100% blame on my side for um, not being able to control my behavior and being very rude, insufferable, everything like that. Very difficult to be around. But ultimately, I do feel like these people have something, a big form of accountability as well. I think it's a shared accountability, it's a shared ownership for that because ultimately they probably unsubconsciously pushed me to that place. So definitely wrong on both sides. And now ultimately I'm on my own, right? Because now those were my only friends. I have no more friends anymore. Will I ever have a social life like that again? Will I ever have a friend group like that ever again? Likely not. Likely not. Just because now I'm in my late 20s, people don't really do that anymore. It's very hard to make friends at this sort of age. At this sort of age, it would probably be more of a casual sort of thing, where I just kind of meet up with someone, every, now and then, just stuff like that. But even something like that for me will be good. Um, something small will be good. I also definitely want to engage with not only women on a romantic level, but just friends around my sort of age. Especially on these sort of apps, there's a lot of younger people, but I would like slightly maturer friends, which links into um, my drinking problems. So I do have a problem with drinking. I have a hard time stopping, but I don't really start. I do have alcohol in my room, but I used to drink that a lot before meetings and everything like that. I used to really have a problem. I used to also take a lot of sleeping pills just to help my anxiety, um, which ultimately was very negative, and that was a very bad coping mechanism. Yeah, I used to take a lot of alcohol and a lot of sleeping pills trying to do this. Social stuff. I've not done that for quite a while actually, so I'm very happy with that. I've not engaged with that in probably over 6 months, maybe even more than that. So I'm very happy with that. But when I'm in like a bar or a pub environment or just anything around alcohol, I cannot control myself, and I'm literally knocking the shit back. So that's something I definitely want to stop, which leads into my new job. There's definitely more of a social presence at my new job, especially with people around my sort of age. But I feel like it's a very similar circumstance where these people only want to engage with me when I'm drunk, because when I'm drunk, I'm an absolute mess, but I'm ultimately fun to be around for them, and it's ultimately entertaining. You know what I'm saying, for them. But it's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to really engage with alcohol like that in the workplace or around co-workers anymore, because ultimately it's just the same thing. It's literally the same thing as what I've just came out of. It's that peer pressure of getting completely drunk because I'm so socially anxious and I've got nothing to say. So I just get really really drunk. Yeah, it's just it's not good. So that's why I'm in two minds about engaging in the work Christmas party, because in one way the last social party that we had during summer, I actually made a bunch of friends, and I actually kind of connected with these people, but I was an absolute drunken mess, and I was probably the most drunk person there. And I don't want to look like that anymore, because I was saying a lot of things that I ultimately regretted. And even a few weeks ago, I went to an after work drink thing, and yeah, insufferable, annoying, cringy, embarrassing. Yeah, I don't really want to engage with that anymore, because I don't want to feel like that anymore, right? It's fun getting drunk, but ultimately it's like it's not hiding my social anxiety, because ultimately I've got nothing to say, I've got nothing to do, and it's like I'd rather not. I would rather not. But then it's like, is that a opportunity for socializing that I'm declining? Is that bad? And I'm thinking back to this movie called Yes Man, which is one of my favorite movies, and it's definitely something I will be taking inspiration off of. Throughout the next year, and it is just saying yes to things, but at a certain point you need to be mature with it, and you gotta just be mature with it, and you can't just say yes to everything. I think the root of that film is just saying, do what you want. Really, if you want to say yes, say yes. Don't hold yourself back. I think that's what the aim of that sort of film sort of says, really. If you have an urge, just follow your urge, really, even if your mind's saying nah. You have an urge saying yes, and it's something positive, and just do it, right? Have fun. I think that's it. Just have fun with your life. But now you know, I want to be aware of my environment and my surroundings and the people who I'm associating myself with. So, should I sit out this social interaction literally next week? Am I ready for that? I think that's what my real question is. Am I ready to engage socially in that environment or not? To be honest, no. I'm really struggling to control myself around alcohol. I'm pretty convinced that someone there will be bringing in drugs, so I can't control myself around that at all. But then, do I want to have fun? Should I get wild? I don't think I'm ready for that. I honestly don't think I'm ready. I have a very blank personality at the moment, so I have literally nothing to talk about, like literally anything. I definitely want to engage with social skills. Yeah, so I don't feel like I'm ready. I just don't feel like I'm ready. But um, I'll definitely be coming back to that topic over the span of the next few weeks. Um, Another thing is, definitely spoke about this, social media. Definitely addicted to social media, Instagram, stuff like that. Definitely want to spend less time doing that. I just want to put my time more efficiently, right, in places. So that's it. That's sort of the context there. So I definitely want to use these episodes to engage with more social anxiety based um, tasks and actions and help. I found a bunch of Instagram accounts that most definitely be helping me with my social anxiety. I found a bunch of YouTube accounts as well. So I definitely want to maybe have a few episodes where I'm just watching YouTube videos during the podcast and just taking notes, making notes, so I can implement them. Searching for social events as well. I definitely want to do that. Engaging with creating better accounts on dating apps, for example, to try and push myself to that next level. Trying to actually connect with people, trying to talk to people, even if it's by messages. I definitely want to do something like that during these sessions. So yeah, most definitely a link between the speaking show, but this one is definitely more tied to social anxiety. And then yeah, the other show will be tied more to speech anxiety. So links, but different. So that's gonna be that really. Yeah, yeah, I'm very happy to start this show. I feel like it's really needed. So what I've been trying to do is use less curse words. I've not had the opportunity. Well, I've not spent less phone time. I've not had less idle time. I'm trying to be less negative. I'm trying to speak a bit more positively, managing what I'm saying, what I'm thinking. I'm trying to do that, managing what I'm doing. I'm starting to do that, managing what I'm consuming. I'm definitely starting to do that. But ultimately, this isn't a light switch. This isn't something I can just switch on and off. This is definitely a process. It's most definitely something which I need to work on. Um, trying to read more, trying to control my behavior more, trying to be more positive, trying to engage with more exercise. That's definitely something which I really want to do. Um, no fat, porn free. I so far have not followed that, but I'm most definitely trying every step of the way, being less lazy, making a real routine. I definitely want to go outside more. So I feel like because I do work from home most days. Actually, saying that, this week Wednesday I'm actually going into the office, and then next week Friday there's the Christmas party. I'm not sure if I'm going out to that, to be honest, but we'll see what happens, right? And so I will be going out at least once, but even like throughout my lunch breaks, I do really want to go outside more, especially now that I'm indoors more. Definitely want to go outside more, even if I just go outside, walk around for a little bit. I really want to do that because I feel like that will ground me. I feel like that will definitely ground me. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna write in my notes actions because I'm not really too sure how much I want to spend on this episode because I'm very aware that I have to link the RSS to my YouTube account. I found that very difficult last time, so I definitely want to get this first episode in and then possibly engage with a speech episode. Where I'm reading more of this book about stuttering, or I can just read a book, just on that episode. But I definitely want to do something, and this is the laziness because now I feel like I've been somewhat productive, and now I'm feeling really lazy. So now my instant thought is shit. I need to doom scroll. I need to go on Instagram and just watch YouTube videos that are ultimately pointless and not enriching my life in any way, shape, or form. Right, so I need to stamp that out. But ultimately, small baby steps at a time. Right. So actions. What I really want to do is watch, and I think in my other notepad where I've did it in the other self improvement notes that I've made, but I have outlined a few YouTube channels. But to be honest, I could watch a few YouTube channels here. So I want to say watch social anxiety YouTube videos. help me. Grounding, watch. So a lot of this, I think, will be just watching specific YouTube channels, to be honest, and just trying to engage with different things. So watching grounding YouTube videos, actions, less phone time. That's just something that will kind of come naturally. Idle time, less negativity, managing what I'm doing. Reading more, controlling my behavior, more positive. Exercise, yeah, I definitely want to at least walk on the treadmill. Let's say minimum, let's say 3 times a week. Let's start off with 3 times a week. So it could be, every other day during the week. So let's say Monday I'll do it, Tuesday's a skip, Wednesday I'll do it, Thursday's a skip, Friday I'll do it, Saturday's a skip, Sunday's a skip, Sunday's a rest day, and then start that up again. So I feel like minimum of 3 times I can do that. Now this is going to be a big one, so I want to say go outside minimum. Now minimum, I want to say 2 times a week. Now that's even if I'm on my own, not just going out to meet people, because ultimately I know no people, I know no one. So going out even on my own, just walking around the estate, for 10, 20 minutes, go outside for a minimum of 2 times a week. Now that isn't very much, but it's baby steps, and that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, I could write here, I want to go out every single day, because that's what most normal people do. But ultimately, I need to have logic, and I need to be aware that I don't want to burn myself out. That's something big, because I feel like that's why I am a bit lazy, because I just burn myself out really, really quickly. So that's something there. Make a routine. So I feel like these actions are a routine, so that's sort of cool. Also was supposed to some in my room, so less time in my room. That just links with the go outside more, to be honest. Oh, another thing which I want to put on the mature, less binge eating. That's a big one. That's a huge one for me. Okay. Just a week. Actions will be to update dating social profiles. Um, Dating social profiles, and then I'm gonna say maybe review social review social events. So we say once a week, and it's just reviewing. It's not going out to them yet, but just reviewing. I think that's good. I think that's fine. Yeah, I do feel like that's fine. So I think that's a good place to start. I'm on my phone right now. I'm just having a look at the other. I've got RA Guide, so that's a social sort of that. So that's fine. Just on Instagram. See, this is something I need to stop as soon as I'm bored. I pick up my phone and I go on and I go on Instagram of my phase. I just saw a video of the Lucifer. Um, so that's that. Such a fun. Okay, just okay, cool. So that is that. Okay. Okay, cool. It's just under 1 hour. My default response is to stop this. And okay, what am I feeling right now? Well, I can smell food downstairs. I want to eat something right now. And it's fine. Eating is fine, right? It's just binge eating. Like, for example, what I normally do is I just raid the cupboards. I just eat anything in the cupboards, and that's not really that positive. So, what I want to do is I want to go downstairs. I want to have a look what's around. And if there's ultimately nothing, then I'll come back up here and I'll watch some YouTube videos. I have actually been subscribing to a few YouTube channels that I feel like be beneficial. There is one that I really want to pay attention to. It's like a charisma channel. Charisma on Command. I feel like it's a fairly big channel. Yeah, it's 6.7 million views. So maybe a quick research on um, that channel. But then I'm also thinking about, is there a way in Audacity to have two audio channels? So I've got one audio channel which is let me ask ChatGPT. I'm not sure why I'm just shooting shit here. And let me use the microphone feature on ChatGPT just because I'm trying to talk more. So let me click dictate. Okay, ChatGPT. I'm currently using Audacity to do this podcast, which I'm actually currently talking on now. Is there a way, and I now in this podcast, I want to, and it's fully audio, there's no video here, because it's ultimately Audacity, which I'm recording this on. I have my earphones into my laptop and I'm speaking into my earphones. That's how I'm recording the audio. But is there a way, because I want to start watching YouTube videos and then talking as I'm watching the YouTube videos as part of this podcast, is there a way in Audacity to have like two recording inputs where I'm, speaking into my earphone microphone and I'm recording that in Audacity while Audacity is recording the sounds that are being played from my laptop, aka the YouTube videos that I am watching. Okay, cool. I've just put that into ChatGPT. It's just loading. It's generating the words. Cool. And let me paste. Okay, yes, this is absolutely possible, but how you do it depends on your operating system because Audacity itself can only record one input device at a time. The trick is to use a loopback virtual audio device. So Audacity hears both your microphone and system audio YouTube together or records on a separate track. So I'll break this down cleanly and practically. The core idea, simple explanation. Audacity can't natively record my mic and YouTube audio at the same time. Unless your operating system provides a loopback recording option, Windows, or you install a virtual audio driver. Once that's set up, Audacity will record your voice or and the YouTube video audio at the same time. If you're on Windows, easiest best method was was WASAPI loopback. Audacity on Windows has this built-in feature. Open Audacity at the top toolbar. Audio host. Where is that? Audio hosts. Let me just read it out loud first. So audio host. So that Windows WASAPI. Recording device. Choose speakers, headphones, loopback. You say something like speaker will take loopback. Playback device, your normal headphone. Recording channels. Set to. It records everything your computer plays. Your mic is included automatically. Oh, right, okay. It seems like it's pretty possible. Okay, but let me stop this recording and let me try and do that. Okay, well, I've tried. It seems like that's a system limitation with Audacity. I have tried the tutorial and the steps that ChatGPT has said, but it just records the system audio, but I need to record my headset, my microphone audio, as well as the system audio. And ChatGPT says, short, honest answer. Audacity on Windows cannot record your microphone and system audio as two separate inputs at the same time by itself. The Wasabi loopback only records system audio, which is exactly what you're seeing. To get true simultaneous mic and system audio, you must use a virtual mixer. The standard proven solution is Voicemeeter. The correct solution on Windows, Voicemeeter, which is free. This is basically every Windows podcaster streamer uses what Voicemeeter does. It acts like a software audio desk, takes in your mic along with the YouTube system audio mix systems and both into Audacity as one recording input or split if you want to later. See, I'd rather not. I'd rather not. Okay, what I'll do then is I'll just kind of watch the videos that I want to watch, and then when I want to speak, and then I'll just kind of pause it. I'll I'll pause it when I'm watching it, and then if I need to speak about something, I'll just pause the YouTube recording and then continue playing the Audacity recording. I think that's probably going to be the easiest option for that. Um, Otherwise, you'll just be sitting here in silence for a substantial period of time. But okay, so that is good that I've learned. I can't really do that in Audacity. I'd have to use a different piece of software, which, to be honest, I don't really want to do because this laptop. I bought it for my mom last year, but it's very much a family laptop. It's very low spec. I just bought it for my mom who just wants to, use the laptop here and there for printing. And I just want to use this laptop for recording audio, really, and doing web searches and stuff like that. So it's a very low powered PC, and it can be slow, and it has been slow if I have a lot of applications installed, a lot of programs installed. It can be very slow, so I'd rather not do that, to be honest. But okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to head down the stairs. It is 6:30. Um, I want to, yeah, see if there's any food that I can eat. I'm going to try and not just binge eat. I want some real substantial food in me. If there isn't anything, that's fine. I can go without. I mean, ultimately, I'm breaking out a lot. I'm getting a lot of spots, and I think a big part of that is one, sitting indoors a lot, and then two, just eating shit. Just eating a load of shit. Okay, I'll be right back. And pause this. Okay, I've just been running and jumping around in my room listening to music, which that was fun. But I did eat something. I had a vaguely healthy meal. I had a fish. I had a salmon fish cake, rice, vegetables. I had some hummus with it. I did have some crackers, but it's not that bad. I'm actually very proud of what I've done here. I've outlined some next steps. My rough routine, how I want to split up the speaking show and then the living show is my focus is going to be on the speaking show, to be honest. I'm going to try for Monday to Fridays as much as I can. And then I'm going to focus on the living shows on the weekends. However, that's not a concrete rule. That isn't a set in stone rule. I'm very happy to do some living shows where needed. Um, throughout the week or just wherever needed, but just I think it's that point in my life where I need some form of a routine. Otherwise, I'm gonna just goof off and just procrastinate. So I'm slightly out of breath from all of this running around and singing and dancing, which I know I've told myself that I don't really want to do. And yes, I was listening to rap music. I'm getting there, right? I need to really get there. It's nearly 9, so I think I'm gonna stop this now. Set up the RSS. Call it a day. Thank you anyone for listening to this, even if it's just me in the future and you're watching and you're listening to this back. I want to look back on these a year from now and say, okay, he was doing the right thing. He wasn't just goofing off like I have been doing over these last 5 years. You know what I mean? Last night I was really in my feelings. Used my hard drive to just listen back to my old songs. Yeah, and some of them were good, but look at where I am now. Those songs haven't helped me. They just help me in the moment to manage feelings, so I don't knock it. But I'm at that point now where I need to think about the future, and this is me thinking about the future. This is me actually taking a first step, even if I am just speaking alone in my room, speaking, making a plan. Trust me, I'm not going to be where I am. I can really like logically see if I really follow these steps, I really follow this plan, I won't be in this same mental prison that I am now. I will be sociable. I will have friends. Hopefully, no, fuck. Hopefully, I will have a girlfriend. I will have friends. You feel me? I will have hobbies. I will be more mature. I will be more grounded. I will have cured my social anxiety. I will have cured my speech anxiety. If I can say one word anywhere, I can say, if I can say one word one time, I can say one word anytime, no matter the situation. I can speak. I know I can do this, and I know this is linked to social anxiety, speech anxiety. I know I can do this, and that is a promise. I know it because it is logical. All I need to do is just stay consistent, keep the same hunger, keep the same passion, and push myself hard. And it will be hard, and there will be times where I, fall down. But I need to get back up, and you know, falling down isn't losing, isn't failing. It's just failing is staying down. Falling isn't failing. Staying down is failing. Going further down is failing. I'm taking a step. In my opinion, socially, mentally, I was at a rock bottom last year, and I've climbed up a little bit this year, but ultimately, I'm still at that rock, in my opinion, and it's time for me now to rise up from the rock, just like Simba, just like the Lion King. Because you know, I want to find out more about myself, and I want to become more opinionated and everything like that. I really want to do that. Not sure if I wrote it in this book, but I need to become more opinionated. Write that down in the actions. Become more opinionated. I think I wrote it on my. Actually, I have my phone here. Let me read the notes from my phone, and then I'll skedaddle. It's on the podcast topics. You go, you go deaf, getting one like on a good post, Instagram follow to account. Social anxiety origins, I've done that. Social anxiety fix, speech books investigation, that's what I'm doing right now. Accent investigations, I'll definitely be doing that, reading out loud, just talking right now out loud, even if it is on my own. This is helping me. Social anxiety practice research, I've got a bunch of celebrities that I really want to research. Social anxiety, speech help. Yeah, there's a bunch of shows I really want to do. Is there a link between bipolar disorder, stuttering, and autism? I really want to do that. research TED Talks about social anxiety. I'll definitely be doing that throughout this. Freeze responses and stuttering, research freeze responses, grounding techniques, how to connect to people. I feel like I have some physical habits that look like, like avoiding eye contact and stuff like that with people. Girls, I need to find a girlfriend because ultimately I am 28 years old, addicted to porn, struggling to get an emotional um, connection with people, and ultimately I don't want to lie to myself. I would like to be with someone, and deep down, I think I would like children. And in order to do that, I need to cure my social anxiety because I need to be there for my partner and I need to be there for my future children. And yes, I would like future children. I have always wanted, but it's just a coping mechanism saying I don't because I think logically, if I stay in this place, I probably won't. Depression, no fap, anxiety, and libido. I definitely want to talk about that. How to be more opinionated? Yes, that was covered. How to be more charismatic? I'm definitely going to be covering that. What to say to people and talk to people about how to talk when others are talking. Acne, being inside is probably making my acne worse. Food is probably making my acne worse. Making social profiles, making dating profiles. Yes, we have covered that. Meeting new people. How to in London connect with people. Reddit meeting people. Stuff like that. Money and investing plans. I definitely want to talk about that, and then just general talking, for example, less swearing and stuff like that. This is good. I am on the right path to success. I am on the right path to winning. The world will be mine. I I am a goat. I know that. I've got so much potential. I am the greatest of all time. I am. So I'm start living like that. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. Adios.